Good morning. Welcome to Tuesday Talks with the Minnesota Association of Realtors. My name is Chris Galler. Today we're going to give you a legislative update and a briefing on the things that happened in the last week. And as you know, it's been a busy week at the Capitol. I'm going to talk about three issues that we're working on right now, and then I'm going to talk about the House tax bill that we really appreciated your efforts talking to legislators, talking to friends, families, and clients to contact legislators. There are three bills right now that we're still focused on beyond the tax bill. We've defeated a number of bills along the way, but there's three still that are active we're working on. One is lender mediation. The original lender mediation had a fee tacked on to the closing. We've been able to remove that fee. That fee now, they're looking for a funding source for it. We do believe they'll find one. We've made them a couple of proposals and we'll see where that goes. Christine and Heather are watching that closely. The second bill that we're working on at the Capitol quite closely right now has to do with e-licensing. As you know, you pay a $40 fee right now to the Department of Commerce. The Department of General Administration is going to start a new licensing bureau, you could say, on their website, and they were going to charge an additional fee for you to be on their sites. And we said, you don't need to be on their site. And they said, oh, yes, you do. And we're going to charge you a fee, which will direct you back to the site you're already paying for. And they wanted to charge you $10. Christine and Heather went bonkers on that. They negotiated with the department and with general administration, and that fee is out for you. So you will not pay any more. You'll pay the exact fee that you've been paying. That's been in place for a couple of years now. The last of the bills before we get to the tax bill is a maintenance code bill. And this gives you some idea of how it works up at the legislature. Last year in May, there was a Supreme Court ruling, Minnesota Supreme Court ruling, in a case called Sachs versus Morris. And this is where the city of Morris was requiring building standards and building codes higher than what the state building code is. Sachs took them to court saying that no, you can't do that. The building code says you can't go higher than that except in very explicit situations. They went higher than that, went all the way through the court system, and the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Sachs, saying that cities cannot have building code restrictions higher than what the state building code is. This year in January 22nd to be exact, we get an email saying that the cities would like to talk about this and offer some legislation. About a week and a half ago, they actually came to us with a proposal, and the proposal was that we're able to continue doing what we've been doing for years, even though the Supreme Court has said, no, you can't do that. We've said no to that. We've said that's not right. The Supreme Court has ruled all along the way. People have known, people in the development community have known that some cities have been enforcing rules that really they shouldn't be enforcing in the marketplace, but nobody took them to court. Now with the Supreme Court ruling, we're saying the law has always been there. We're happy to talk this summer and figure out a way to fix it. But until we actually have those negotiations, we're sticking with the Supreme Court on this one. We'll see where it goes, because cities like to be able to say we should be able to do whatever we want to within our borders. But the state building code clearly says these are the things you can do. There's a whole bunch of things you can't do. And with the Supreme Court on our side, we think they got it right. So those are a couple of the things that they're working on right now. The last one we'll talk about is the House tax bill with the mortgage interest deduction elimination, the property tax elimination, major change in the relative homestead provision, and the last one actually is a senior property tax deferral program, all encompassed in this one bill. Last week we talked to you about it, and we do thank you for the call to action. We had thousands of calls in by the end of that call to action. Legislators certainly stood up and took notice of what was going on. Last week, if you remember, there's a proposal in the House tax bill that was going to eliminate the property tax deduction that you get on your Minnesota income taxes. So right now you pay thousands of dollars to the local municipality, to the county, and to the school district. This change would say you no longer get to make that deduction. And we're not going to allow it anymore. It costs the state too much money, so even though it's been around since 1933, we now need to change it. We opposed that, said it was a wrong strategy at the wrong time for Minnesota. You responded to it. Part 2 of that tax bill dealt with the mortgage interest deduction. And they said, well, we can't afford property taxes, and you know what? we need to change the mortgage interest deduction at the same time. We said, again, wrong idea, wrong time to implement it in the way how Minnesota's housing marketplace is. They weren't going to eliminate it 100%. They were going to put a credit in place. And after a long period of negotiations and discussions, having to talk to 2 attorneys, part of the difficulty with this whole credit proposal is that the way to figure out the credit compared to what you're paying now has all been convoluted by the income tax system. Part of that is the reason why we're opposed to it. So luckily to you, lucky for your efforts for us, you contacted them. The bill barely passed. It had a tough time making it out of the tax committee, had a tough time making it out of the finance committee, and it barely passed on Saturday evening. Christine and Heather and I were there to watch, 68-65 with the 68th vote, that's the majority vote that they needed, casting it at the last second. So it did pass. Now, don't worry. That's not a major problem. We knew the bill would have to pass, and the reason is that next week, Thursday, not this week, but the next week, the tax bills have to be conferred, meaning that the tax bill in the Senate and the tax bill in the House, they have to be reconciled so that they can send something on to the governor. If indeed the bill would have been defeated on Saturday, the tax committee would have had to start all over again, and there would have been some major problems with timing and keeping the state on target for meeting its budget, which starts at the end of June. The key part of it, and the reason we sent the call to action, is we wanted to make sure that the conferees on both sides understood this piece is dead. We don't want to see mortgage interest deduction eliminated. We don't want to see the property tax deduction eliminated. This is just a bad bill. And that message was fairly clear. They didn't even get all the votes in their own party. In fact, again, 68-65, that's as close as you can get to defeating a bill. They knew they needed to get it passed. We're confident now as the Senate starts to confer with the House members on a tax committee that we're going to be able to keep those provisions out. It will be important for you to stay focused because they may put other stuff in. We know in the Senate right now there is a proposal to eliminate the mortgage interest deduction on second homes. So we're going to be focusing on that. These other proposals could still come back. So we need you to stay focused over the next few weeks, and we may have to do another call for action. 2 other pieces in the tax bill that we don't like. Relative homestead provision says that if a family has the resources to buy another home for a family member to live in, a rental unit, that they should have the same tax provisions as if it was their own home. That's been in statute for about 10 years now, hasn't caused any major problems. It's a few $100s, about $350 that the actual homeowner gets. We think, again, that's a wrong time to get rid of that provision. It's not a lot of money, but it's a good incentive, and people should be incentivized to do things for their own families. And then the last one, which kind of drives us a little bit crazy, is a House provision that said that the senior property tax deferral, there are some senior citizens that are on fixed income that may have difficulty making their property tax payments. We understand that. We haven't been opposed to the provision in the past. This year, the Democrats wanted to increase that provision, saying that senior citizens with incomes of $75,000 a year should be able to defer their property taxes. We think that's ridiculous. There's a number of young families that have mortgages on their homes, that have daycare bills, that have a lot of costs and expenses that make less than $76,000 that have to pay their property taxes. And if they were doing it for people with incomes of 25 or 30 or 40, that might make sense for some seniors as they look forward. But $76,000 is not poor. Those folks can afford to pay property taxes, and they'll be more reticent when there's property tax increases at the local level. With that, any comments, any concerns that you have, please pass them on to us. We again thank you, Minnesota Realtors, for all the efforts you did on HF 2323. We hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.